Hello, my name is Andrea Bradford, and I just wanted to make a short video about Lynch syndrome. Lynch syndrome is an inherited flaw in your genetics. It causes you to have a much higher risk of certain types of cancer, like colon cancer, and in women, endometrial cancer. I had never heard of Lynch syndrome until I was in my late 50s. I experienced problems of the female sort with excessive bleeding after menopause. I went to the doctor to have a pap smear, and I mentioned to the nurse that I had an aunt that died with ovarian cancer at the age of 40, and that I had a lot of cancer on my father's side of the family. Well, this nurse was smart enough to realize something else was going on with me for me to have this excessive bleeding, and she set up the proper tests for me to have. One was a biopsy of the uterus, where they take a small sample from that area and analyze it. And the results came back that I had endometrial cancer. So I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but I had to have what's called a double salpingo-oophorectomy, which is basically where they perform a surgery, a robotic surgery, and remove the uterus and the cervix, in my case, the ovaries, some of the lymph nodes, and part of the stomach lining, because apparently cancer likes to hide in the stomach lining. And I want to say that a pap smear does not detect this, and a pap smear also does not detect ovarian cancer, and I would imagine that's why you see a lot of younger women die with ovarian cancer, because it's just not detected. The surgery was extremely painful. I had the Da Vinci robotic surgery, which I would not recommend to anybody unless the doctor is extremely skilled and experienced at it. I had very serious problems afterwards, but at least it got rid of the cancer. Now, the way that you test for Lynch syndrome is through a genetics counselor. And you have to get a recommendation from your family doctor to have this done. It's a very serious syndrome. It's elusive. My hip doctor had a friend who died at the age of 24. His friend had Lynch syndrome. And the tumors, one of the cancers that you are very susceptible to is colon cancer. And this young man, the tumors were so large in his colon that they had to take his entire colon out. And he wound up passing away at the young age of 24. So this is not something to play around with. And it's elusive. If you have a family history of cancers, if you have a lot of people in your family that have passed away with cancer, or have had large tumors in their colon and that type of thing, you might want to ask to have this test done. It's inherited, and and you have a 50-50 chance of inheriting this from one of your parents or both of your parents. I think in our case we had it on both sides of the family. My brother has it, my half-sister has it, my daughter has it, and both my sons are being checked for it right now. Do not play around with this. And women, I urge you to, rather than having a biopsy of your uterus, there's an internal wash that they can do, which is far less painful. You don't have the excessive bleeding after the biopsy. And it is more accurate in the sense that when a biopsy is done, they're only taking a sample from a small area. Now they might do a wash or something and get a more, just pick up, not a wash, but just pick up a few more cells or whatever that might detect it. But the wash, the internal wash, is more accurate because it's getting a sample of the cells from all over the uterus. Be alert to this, even if you don't have this syndrome, Lynch syndrome. It's spelled Lynch, Lynch syndrome. Have this internal wash. I don't know if it'll check for ovarian cancer or not, but ovarian cancer is very hard to detect. So just be aware of what your body's telling you. The genetic counseling, the genetic testing, they will ask you a history, a family history of who had cancer in your family, and or sicknesses in your family, and what type of cancers that they had. And then what you do, it's very easy, it's very simple. They give you a vial, you spit a lot into this vial, and they send it off for analysis. And it will tell you whether you have Lynch syndrome or not. And the problem with this, it's insidious. The problem with this disease is that it can strike young. It can strike very early. This young man that was my hip doctor's friend was dead at the age of 24. So this is not something to play around with. If you have any idea you have it or feel like you need to be tested, I urge you to go ahead and do that. The genetic counseling is so easy now. They can actually mail you a vial to spit into a lot, and you can mail it into the testing place. And you can also do your genetic counseling over the phone. You don't even have to go into the office. My brother just found out he had it, and so I kind of had to, keep reminding him to go get tested, and he did, and he has it, and he's at higher risk for colon cancer. But depending on which marker in your genetic makeup is flawed, that determines which kind of cancer you're more susceptible to. Like with colon cancer, you're 40 to 60% more likely to have colon cancer with this genetic problem. And endometrial cancer for women, I think it's about the same, 40 to 60%. It's a high percentage that above a normal population, that you have, in other words, you have a very high risk of having these cancers. Now, if you don't know whether you have it or not, I would urge you to have this internal wash when you go for your checkups. And men and women, I would urge to have a colonoscopy. Even if you're young, go ahead and have it, because this can kill you. I feel so much better since I had my hysterectomy. And I had to have internal radiation, which was no fun, but I didn't have to have chemotherapy, but I had about a 60% invasion into my endometrial lining. So just be careful. Talk to your doctors, talk to your nurses. If you have a family history, let them know that. And I hope this video has been of some help. And another thing I wanted to point out, when I spoke with the doctors after they found out I had this Lynch syndrome, they said to me that the marker, I think it's MSH6, my marker is the one that's defective. They said that it wasn't working at all, and that that made me feel like, well, it doesn't matter what I eat or drink or what I do, I'm still going to get cancer. But that's what they said is not entirely accurate. What happens is, they said it's like, I was reading an article from, I believe, from the Mayo Clinic, and it said it's like a security guard. This genetic marker is like a security guard that doesn't work like they should, a lazy security guard, in other words. Sometimes it would do, whatever would do its job, and sometimes it wouldn't, and sometimes it would do its job badly, but it was still, to a certain extent, doing its job. Now that is huge to me, because even a lax security guard might catch a criminal. So even though this genetic marker is defective, it is still working to a certain extent, which means that what you eat and what you consume and what you drink is critically important, excuse me, to you, to try to eat more healthily and drink more healthily, and don't put crap into your body. I'm on a diet now. I've lost 13 pounds and I'm losing a lot more. But I just wanted to make this little video. I hope it helps somebody. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. God bless you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.